So in this video, I'm going to show you how to install subframe bushings on your E39. This particular car is an M5. I'll give you some tips and tricks along the way. I've ended up taking one of those bushings out 4 times and I've learned some valuable lessons, and I'll share that with you. First thing you need to do is put your subframe bushings and all the other bushings that are going to go on the subframe, if you're replacing the differential and the front diff bushing, in the freezer. This there's a word. This shrinks the rubber a little bit and makes it easier to fit inside the aluminum sleeve. Next, you're going to apply some silicone lubricant on the outside of the rubber bushing. And I'll use a towel here to wipe it along the way. Okay, the next part, and this is where I messed up originally. I forgot that the lip of the bushing goes on the bottom side up. So right now, this whole thing is upside down. So imagine this was, well, you get what upside down is. So that means if it's upside down, it should go this way. And the whole idea is that if you had to remove this while this is on the car, you obviously can't go up into the car, right? You have to go down from the car. So this whole thing's upside down. I'm putting it downside through, and you need a tool. Depending on the sleeve, you can actually push some of it in along the way, which is kind of cool. The other thing that you want to keep in mind is the orientation of the bushing itself. It needs to go pretty much forward to back. So there's arrows on here, and there's little indents and mold pressings or whatever. Yeah, there's like a lip right here. And that will help you guide to make sure that you're not putting it cockeyed. It could be a couple of degrees off, but it can't be this way, because then it can fail prematurely because the load is not made, the bushing isn't designed to deflect loads going that way. It's made to go this way. If you have one of these tools with a rod and some of the cup fittings, it works pretty well. The way this is designed, the cup part goes, basically is going to sit on the top, on the outside of the sleeve. In this case, it'll go underneath. Okay, I'll put that there. And then just kind of showing you how this fits. And then this top washer, this big thick one, goes on, and it kind of fits in the groove in between. It's not super relevant for putting them on, but it's still good best practice. You want to make sure that all the metal washers for this thing, everything's aligned as evenly as possible, especially when you're taking them out. There's a washer that goes inside the sleeve as you're pulling the bushing out. You have to be careful, because if you don't have it aligned right, it could actually dig into the inside of the sleeve here and damage the subframe. I almost did that once before on my X5, but I've learned that lesson since, especially if you're wrenching on it and it feels tight and then it gets tighter. You're thinking, oh, it's just like, struggling to get through. The truth is the washer is probably digging into the sleeve. You don't want to do that. So just be careful of that. As you're wrenching on this, you do want to hold the bottom nut. Otherwise, if you don't do that, the rod slides upward, making it impossible for you to use your socket wrench on there. So by holding the nut in place, it kind of keeps this fixed and pushes the rod through the bottom. And if you've removed these, you know how much of a pain in the ass it is. The fact that it's going in basically with one hand or one finger means that the lubrication and the frozen bushing have helped tremendously in guiding the whole thing through. The only thing to keep in mind is just make sure that the orientation lines are still pointing front and back. There isn't too much that you can do. If you get it all messed up, you have to take it out. You can try to twist it, but it's really hard. That's what she said. It's kind of cool. It's like magic. It just appears inside there. That's it. And then when you take the rod out, that's what she said, just make sure that you don't try to rip it through the center of the washer here, because it will damage the threads. And it probably you won't see it manifest the first few times, but over time, if you use this a lot, it's going to damage the threads and make it harder to take apart.